What's up YouTube? Jeff back again from High on Android, DopeTechDaily.com. Today we're shooting another car vlog. As you guys know, I like to give my thoughts on some of the events in the car. Just saves me a little bit of time. So today we had the Mobile World Congress events from LG and from Samsung. I woke up this morning, well actually I stayed up all night to watch the LG event. It started at 6 a.m. here in Arizona. So I stayed up all night to watch the LG event, check that out, and then I actually fell asleep, unfortunately, and ended up missing the Samsung event, but I got caught up. I read what went down. Pretty much exactly what we knew from the leaks, so I didn't miss anything too huge. So I just want to give some of my thoughts on the G5 versus the S7, the S7 Edge, you know, who I thought won Mobile World Congress, what I think the better phone is, and also what I'm more interested in. So first of all, let me speak to the first question first, which is, which do I think is the best phone that they released today? And I have to say, I definitely think Samsung takes home that award with the Galaxy S7 Edge. The S7 Edge is definitely the overall winner. I definitely like a bigger screen on my phone, so I'm not going to be a big fan of the Galaxy S7 for that reason. I'm going to get both of them, of course, to review, but I'll definitely be a bigger fan of the S7 Edge. I think Samsung made all of the iterative improvements they needed to make, going from the S6 to the S7. They did exactly what people asked them to do. They went and got a bigger battery. They gave the micro SD slot back. They also changed a few cosmetic things that I found a little annoying. Namely, they made the camera flush on the back. That was a little bit of annoying last year. Not a huge problem, but definitely something they improved. Overall, they just sort of refined the build of the phone, didn't make any drastic changes. Of course, that's going to upset some people, like last year when HTC didn't do much in terms of design from the M8 to the M9. But I think overall, Samsung has improved everything in terms of the hardware. They just didn't make any major design overhauls. Last year with the M8 to the M9 for HTC was kind of a big difference because they didn't actually improve anything. The camera was still complete garbage. So on paper, assuming that the S7 battery life actually holds up and the always-on display doesn't damage the battery life too much, I think the S7 and the S7 Edge are going to be two of the best phones of the year, depending on what your preferred screen size is. If you prefer a smaller screen for the S7 or a larger screen for the S7 Edge. I also think that the swappable camera lenses that Samsung is offering is a nice little add-on. Of course, that's probably going to be way overpriced, as the third-party accessories tend to be. I also find it a little weird that they brought back the keyboard cases like they did for the Note 5 and the Edge Plus. I didn't see very many people use those. I never actually got my hands on one, so I'm going to try to do that with this launch and see if I can try those out. But I don't see too many people using those keyboard cases. Overall, though, I think the S7, S7 Edge are going to be a huge win for Samsung. You've got an improved camera. It should be better in low light performance. Some of the demos they did in the overall event were pretty impressive comparing to the iPhone quality. Of course, you can edit those things, and we don't know what they've done to the photos. But if we do get that kind of quality, I think the low light should be really impressive. They made some nice iterative upgrades across the board, and I think Samsung should be commended. They definitely did things that they know are going to sell them more phones. So definitely, I think the best phone for me is going to be the S7 Edge that launched today. Now, of all the stuff that was launched today, what am I most interested in? And in that case, I've got to go with the LG G5. Now, a lot of people have been talking to me on Twitter about this throughout the day. Why am I more interested in the G5 than the S7 or the S7 Edge? Well, plainly put, there's a lot of new stuff going on with what LG did. They sort of just ripped up the whole book from the G3 and the G4, which were sort of iterative improvements. They went sort of this whole new direction. They've got an all-metal build now, which a lot of people want. Overall, I do think the phone doesn't look that great. I think it looks a little ugly with the matte back, but that's not really a deal breaker for me because I throw case on every single one of my phones anyway, so not the biggest problem. But otherwise, they sort of ripped up the book going from the G4 to the G5. We don't have the buttons on the back anymore. We do got the fingerprint scanner back there. The all-metal build, as I mentioned. They made the screen a little smaller so they could differentiate the G5 and the V line, which will be, I guess, the V10 and now the V11 this year, which is going to be their bigger screen size. They did that. And now they've got this whole modular thing going on where you can swap out the battery using this modular component. You can swap out, get an extra camera grip. They've got all of these various things for VR. They've got this remote controlled drone and the robot where you can sort of control your pets around the house. All kinds of really crazy stuff going on. But even though it's really crazy, I think that you know, it's important that companies take these risks so we can sort of push the smartphone space forward. You know, as much as people say all we really want is better battery life and, you know, decent size, decent screen, good battery life, we want removable storage and all of these things. That's true, but you know, you don't really know that you want a must-have feature until you see it. So in terms of modular smartphones, do I think they're there now? Do I think people are going to buy all of these modular components for the G5? Absolutely not. For one thing, I think they're going to be overpriced when they come out. Once you buy a G5 and buy all these components, you know, that's going to cost you maybe $1,000 or more, probably in the end. That's my guess. And that's going to be way too much for most people to spend. In addition, no one wants to be swapping out modular components all day, whether you're listening to music, controlling your drone, or, you know, using a camera grip. No one wants to keep swapping out components all day just so their smartphone gets a little bit better. But I think it's important that people are trying this because this modularity could get easier over time. Right now, you know, it's kind of cumbersome to do this, but the idea of being there is really important, and I think we're going to see more people try this. You know, there was this rumor of Google trying this for a long time, sort of never came to fruition, and then LG is the first to bring it to market. So do I think the G5 is going to be a smash hit success and really compete with the S7 and the S7 Edge? Not really. I think Samsung is going to dominate again this year, but I think LG is doing something that's really good for the space overall, showing us something a little different. Even if everything sort of doesn't work perfectly together, you know, I think that it definitely is going to help smartphones in the end. The other thing that's annoying me about the G5 launch is there's no app drawer anymore on the UX software this year for LG. I'm not super surprised because we heard this rumor that Google is going to get rid of the app drawer in Android N, and it looks like now with LG doing this, that rumor is probably pretty credible. I think that's actually going to happen. So at Google I/O, I won't be surprised one bit if Google says we don't have an app drawer anymore in Android. I think it's a damn shame because I think that what originally helped Android was to be different from Apple. So I think that's a damn shame, but I think that's what we're going to see. Of course, you always got third-party launchers like Nova, Apex, and Action Launcher 3. So, you know, you can always do that if you want an app drawer. And I do, so I'm not interested in having all my apps on the home screen. So I think that's pretty much all of my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think about the S7, S7 Edge versus the G5 in the comments below. We can definitely chop it up and talk some more tech. I'll have a lot more coverage coming up. I'm going to get all these phones, of course. We're going to review them, put them through the paces, do camera tests, do all this stuff we normally do. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot for checking it out. Later.